This podcast episode is a very special podcast where we are live in Cave Creek at Frontier Town, and we are doing a live podcast event episode. And it's a whole 3-hour event. You won't hear the whole 3 hours on the podcast feed. What you will hear is our interview with Rebecca Cutehands on Healing the Planet. So we hope you enjoy this episode, and we look forward to more live events as well. Thank you, guys. Welcome to Psychic Evolution with evidential psychic medium Jamie Clark and spiritual coach and healer Maggie Clark.
And welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is the podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts.
And these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural.
And today, our guest, Rebecca Cutehands, she was so gracious to open up with that beautiful ceremony. And I'm not going to tell you too much about her. I'm going to let her tell you about herself because her journey is exquisite and beautiful and very almost surreal, I think, in my opinion. But a little bit about Rebecca. She is definitely a spiritual medicine woman, and she really, really has a beautiful affinity for this planet and really is a guide for many, many people on this planet to live a healthier way, a more natural way, and a more reverent and sovereign way of appreciation for not only the planet, but for all of God's creatures on this planet. She's just such an amazing, amazing soul. So welcome, Rebecca Cutehands.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So, Rebecca, tell us a little bit about your journey. What got you into the field that you're in, and what was it like discovering that you were a healer and that you had this beautiful gift you wanted to share with people?
Wow, that's a big question. I think, when I was little girl, we lived on a lot of land, and so you had to make your own fun, right? And my mom would find me all the time gathering little stones and placing them in little circles and gathering little bugs and spiders that had perished, but I was determined to bring them back. And I would place them inside these little stone circles I would create, and I would sit there and I would pray really hard, really hard. And my mom would check on me every so often, and she said, "What are you doing out here?" And I said, "Well, I'm bringing these bugs and spiders back to life." And she said, "Oh, okay. Well, that spider only has like 3 legs." I said, "Hey, I just got started." And I would wake up the next morning, and I would go and I would check the stone circle, and all the bugs would be gone, and the spiders would be gone. And my childlike ways thought, "Oh, I healed them. They healed. We did it together. How beautiful." And my mom wasn't a dream stealer and didn't tell me that something probably came and ate them that night. So I was very blessed for that. So I kept with that intent. And, as I was growing up, our friends would gather together and us girls would get together. And we would have these little moon ceremonies we would do. And I kept paying attention that my friends always wanted me to lead them. They always wanted me to lead the prayers. And I would push towards them, let's all hold a direction and let's all kind of be in this together. But I found myself being the lead in them, and I didn't mind it. I almost looked forward to it. And up to the time I was about 19, some of our friends went to Serpent Mound in Ohio. Beautiful effigy, if any of you ever have been or get to go. It is a beautiful, beautiful burial ground. It's very ancient, and it's of a huge serpent with a cosmic egg in its mouth, and you can only see it when you're elevated. And that day that we went there, we were just having just a beautiful experience, and as we were leaving, I heard this sacred drum being played, and we seen these people gathering in this little crowd, and I thought, I'm being drawn over there for some reason. And so we went over to see what was going on, and there was this native man leading a ceremony, and he says, We're doing the ceremony. We don't have somebody for the north. The person that was supposed to hold the north couldn't make it today. And I know you all have only seen me sitting down, but I'm pretty tall. I'm about 5'10" and a half. And I knew when he said that he was looking for someone to hold the north. I tried to shrink myself down to like 4'7". And as much as power as I had, it was impossible because I knew he was going to pick me. And as I was trying to shrink myself down in the crowd, he says, you, there, come. And I was like, me? I was turned like this as if I didn't think he was talking to me. And he says, no, you, come here. So I got up there and he says, I want you to hold the prayers of the North, okay? And I just immediately started to weep because I didn't know what I was going to say. Because me and my friends gathering for the full moon, it was friends gathering for the full moon, but now I was in this powerful ceremony circle. And so the prayer started in the east and everybody was just saying these beautiful prayers. And I thought to myself, how am I going to measure up to these beautiful prayers that everybody is speaking? And so again, I just kept weeping. And I'm looking at my friends in the crowd and they're looking at me smiling. And by the time the prayer had gotten to me, I just started to speak this prayer. And it just kind of came out of me naturally. And when I was all done, I was so proud of myself. It felt good. It felt real and authentic. And at that moment, I kind of understood why they called it medicine, because it is medicine. All of our prayers and all of our blessings that we offer to one another, it's medicine. It heals us, it guides us, it allows us to just go beyond ourselves sometimes. And then I found myself a few years later, I came down with a very rare nerve disease that left me a blind quadriplegic for 3.5 years. So my journey nonetheless was halted a little bit, I would say. And at first I was fighting for my life when I went into the Cleveland Clinic on a Tuesday and they told me by Friday I would probably be gone. And that's a lot to hear when you're 24 years old, thinking that you have the whole world ahead of you, because that's what you think at 24. You're not ready to write a living will. And at 24, I didn't really have that much to give anybody. But I came up with some stuff, but I lived. And I just found myself on this really beautiful journey that I wouldn't change for the world. Honestly, friends, if I had to do it over again, I would do every single part of it over again. And it was hard and it was challenging. And I could hear my friends come in the room and the doctors come in the room, but I couldn't see them. Some of my friends said it was a blessing I couldn't see them, but I beg to differ. But over the years, just continuing to try to just strive to heal. And there was nothing, that anybody kind of brought to me until one day this Japanese man came and he sat with me. And within a few minutes, about 6 or 7 minutes, my eyesight was back. 6 or 7 minutes with him placing his hands in front of my face and this white light that I had seen all of a sudden just appear in my eyes and in my vision. It was very emotional. My friends, my family was standing there while this man was working on me, and it was absolutely just unbelievable, is what I thought. Unbelievable. How is this happening? Well, it was very believable, and it became very much a part of my journey. He was my teacher and healer for about 1.5 years, and I felt very humbled and honored to even have him find me and walk into my life. And he said, "You're going to go on to do this one day. Not like me. I wait for years to have my students come to me. You are going to go out and they're going to find you and you're going to find them every day. You're going to be in the space of service to all the children of the planet. You will not bear children in this lifetime. You've already borne enough in others. Your journey this lifetime will be to share with the children of the planet and the children of the earth. You will listen to their pain. You will sit with them as they cross over. You will offer them as much unconditional love as you possibly can. That's why you're going to get out of this bed and this wheelchair." And that excited me. That made me feel bigger, a bigger part of something that I never thought growing up I could ever just be a part of. And I couldn't wait to start. But I had to start with baby steps. I had to learn how to feed myself all over again and write my name all over again from the ground up.
What was the healing modality that he used when he was healing you? Was it a certain modality, or was it just like a hands-on type of healing for your eyes?
He was a master of 16 different arts, being taught as a young boy from the time he was 6 years old. So he was manipulating energy from a young age. And so it was just a form of energy work. He shared with me that no matter what modality you're choosing from, there's only one energy source. You can call it and name it anything that you want, label it whatever you choose. It's all from the same source of energy, and there's no separating it from us.
What was the process like when you discovered that you had that type of healing energy? Like, he told you were going to be of service and you were going to heal people, but when you actually felt that energy within, what did that feel like?
I think that for me was so overwhelming. It was very emotional for me anyway. Because again, as a little girl, I always wanted to do that. You know, I always wanted to go and the so-called rescue that we do, right? We just so many of us are just so, it's like embedded in us. We're like engraved with it. We're just the rescuers, you know, even those I find 99% of the people that I work with and that I serve every day, because I'm not their healer, they're the healers. I'm just the guide, and the energy is working through me as me. I'm a big part of it, yes, but the work that they're doing is amazing. And so just to be a part of that for me, it just put me in the space that it was just very emotional to know that I was going to be connecting in that way and that I was able to do that because the things that he did with me and that he showed me that was capable, our capabilities, they're mind blowing. We're not taught that, you know, and then here comes this elder into my life teaching me these ways that are just so everyday, you know, for their culture. And it just was really beautiful to even know that we could all tap into that. I'm not someone special and there's no, you know, levels here. We are all of that part of energy. That's that space of wholeness and oneness. Again, there is no hierarchy in that. Within a nanosecond, you could shift the way of your being and heal your neighbor, your wife, your husband, your child, just with the intent to do that. And I think that's what we have forgotten along the way. And I think as we get back into those old ways again, all of us and all of creation are going to continue to do the healing that is right there. It's right there at our grasp.
And is this gentleman still one of your guides?
He'll always be a part of my life and a part of my guides. But like I said earlier, it's not a space of when the time was over for us. He bowed, just like he did when he greeted me. He bowed and said, I will be here as long as Spirit tells me otherwise. And when our time was over, even though I didn't want it to be over, you never want it to be over. I was like, no, where are you going? You're so amazing. And he said, stop doing that. You know, he used to correct me because he said, stop doing that. You're placing me up here, which then finds me looking down upon you. And you and I are heart to heart and eye to eye. Don't ever let anybody do that to you, ever. None of your students, none of your clients, don't let them ever put you up here where they are below you. Remind them that we are all in balance in the space of heart to heart. He said, so stop doing that to me. And I said, oh, okay. So, you know, he'll always be one of my guides. He'll be with me forever. There's no way to disconnect us ever.
And so with that healing modality of what he did to help you to help yourself, do you use that healing modality to help others?
Oh my goodness, I use all the modalities. I mean, again, he was a master. He was a master of 16 different arts. So it would be ridiculous that I would sit here and say, I'm a master of all the arts he showed me. No, but the things that he would speak to me, I allowed them to imprint on me, and I have never forgotten them. And so, because again, it was such an intimate space of our connection, that when someone gives you that and brings you back to yourself and back to that knowing of the place of power that we all hold, it's just the ultimate gift. The ultimate gift is it was just so beautiful.
And in learning all of these techniques, have you thought about writing a book?
There's so many books out there. I'd rather be here live talking to all of you. I'm so busy. Maybe when I retire one day.
I'm sure Jamie is saying that because his psychic Tourette's kicks in and he can't help himself. So you're Native American. And so you grew up with more of a nature-based type of expression, or did you grow up like whatever? I mean, how was it growing up? Did you feel really connected to the earth, or was it something different?
Well, you are talking being birthed in 72, right? Which just tells my age, which I'm not ashamed ever to tell your age. Don't be afraid to share your age. The wrinkles of our wisdom, if you get to grow in them, that's a blessing in itself. So I was not raised on a reservation. I was not raised by the elders, in the indigenous culture where I was from. I was birthed into two different families, right? One strict Catholic family, right? Hey, for all the Catholics out there, right? Whoop, whoop.
The recovering ones?
Baptized Catholic. And then my mom's side of the family was much more spiritual and nature-based. And so I had a little bit of both worlds, which again was really beautiful. And so I got to kind of piece part them together. I did have a lot more fun, I would say, and felt a lot more free in the space of the natural, more spiritual space. And so for me, I really liked playing in that kind of world. But no, I wasn't raised in that space. Until I went to Serpent Mound the day that the story I shared with you, I came home from that event and I shared with my grandmother that I had been pulled up into this ceremony. I said it was so beautiful and I was so, nervous. And she says, well, I don't know why you would be so nervous. That medicine runs in our family. Your great-great-grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee of the Chalagi long hair clan. And I said, what? What? So back in that time, it wasn't so, oh, you're indigenous. Oh, you're native. Come out, talk about it. Hey, come on, do ceremony. It wasn't like that. So for me to be awakened to that space at 19, I just felt very blessed and very honored. And so, I wasn't enthralled in that world, but once it opened up to me, forget about it. I was like, I'm here.
And how did you learn how to have such reverence for the earth and her creatures? Because whenever I hear you speak, I just feel like you're connected and that you love everything and everybody. And how did you learn that? I think that this is an innate part of who every single one of us is on this planet. We have this within us, but how did you discover that within yourself?
I think I let it happen. I wasn't embarrassed, again, like I said, at 9 years old, gathering those stones and gathering those bugs and again, doing that healing work and then gathering friends and then, being a part of it. I just let it happen. And when you sit with the elders, the more elders I could sit with, even if it wasn't of my medicine, anytime that was anything was going on or there was an invite, I was there. And when you sit with the elders, the way that they speak to you, it's such truth. They don't take time to tiptoe. They say, hey, I'm going to give you truth right here. And you can dance to it, you can tiptoe to it, you can run to it, or you can stay away from it. It's all up to you. But I'm going to give you it right here. What you want to do with it is up to you. And so when you're around that space and you're very humbled, because we're very privileged in this world, and then you walk into the indigenous world and not so much. So you get to be, again, I got to be in both worlds. And so it just allowed me to be very humbled. And I've experienced a lot of humility, right? Not afraid to experience that one either. Good luck with that one. It's fun. Not always, but but again, so that I could be the best of me, so that I could come here anywhere that I'm at and be very authentic and be very integral in my work. And that, I think, if we base any relationship off of that, if that's your foundation, integrity and authenticity, and then love just follows. So I don't really think anything that you try to do in life and anything that you're striving for, if those two keys are with you and then love's behind you, everything is possible.
And so with the healing modality, it started with your eyes.
Yeah.
And began to shine bright. What do you think, after you were able to vibe that through the eyes, did that give you enough solid knowingness to begin the rest of the healing process for your body?
Yes. It's so amazing. When he brought my eyesight back within a few moments, 6 or 7 minutes, this man was so, again, when I look back, we all carry it, right? Because I look and I do the same thing now with my clients and my students. And I'm like, wow, this is just, but back then, that's not who I was. So my mind was just like, wow, this all-knowing being in front of me, right? Stop doing that, Rebecca, stop doing that. But the eyes came so fast. And he said, I have some things written down here on this notepad, but I'm not going to tell you what they are at this moment. He said, but your body is not going to do and work as fast as the eyes. And I said, why not? Why not? And he said, because there's something coming for you. And everything is in divine timing. This one I really understood about divine timing, because we can say, oh, divine timing. Everything's divine timing. But then when it's really a part of your journey, you're like, oh, divine timing. That's divine timing. And what he was meaning was that your body is going to take a little bit longer because there's something coming for you. And what was coming for me was my husband. And he already knew it. But my husband wasn't even in that state. He wasn't even in Ohio. He was in California. And so me and my husband fell in love while I was in my wheelchair, and it was amazing. And this man that I worked with knew that that's what was coming for me. And if I would have healed as fast as my eyes, I would not have still been in that same space to meet my husband at that wedding while I was in my wheelchair, and the rest is history. And we'll be celebrating 21 years, right, this January. Yeah. So again, when he said, your everything is in divine timing, I got to see that again, literally firsthand.
But that brings up a big point, is it's not easy to go, yeah, divine timing, until you hit that point to go, oh, now I see why this did or didn't happen.
Yeah.
Was that able to give you more of a proactive viewpoint that you weren't seeing a lot of the other changes yet, but the solid knowingness that your eyes are healing, did that give you a knowingness that the rest of you would begin to heal as well?
Yeah, well, the rest of me was healing. It just wasn't the fast, you're from going blind, right? It was in 3.5 years of having no sight, and then my sight would come back for a few weeks, but it would be double vision, triple vision, quadruple vision, almost like you're looking in a kaleidoscope, and then it would be gone again. I would cherish the days when it would be there, but I became a really good listener, right? Without being able to see you, just your sound, everything, all the sounds I could hear of the earth that I never listened to before, never even paid even attention to, became very heightened in my space of energy. But going back to that space of, again, divine timing, it was just knowing that my body was like, okay, today your thumb's going to move. Today, this is going to move. Your arm's going to move. You're going to be able to raise your arm up. You might not be able to move your fingers, but your arm's going to raise up to your hands. So the spoon we have wrapped around your wrist, you'll be able to feed yourself today. So it was these little tiny steps going from quadriplegic, total body paralyzed, to my thumb just moved, or I just seen my toes move, so.
Kind of interesting, but you bring up a strong validation symbolically. Go, that was the first action. Meaning this. And created a self-fulfilling prophecy, because, not everyone would have the mental state to be able to hang in with that. A lot of times that kind of a shutdown would affect people so much that they wouldn't even be open to live life. They would end up just surviving it. How does that feel to know that you've overcome the limitations of surviving life and brought in the livingness just by you opening up to it?
Well, I had a lot of people ask me that. I still even have people ask me that to this day. How did you just not, if I wound up a blind quadriplegic, I would just end my life right then and there. I wouldn't even be able to just go through the steps. And I was like, well, friend, think about it for 1 minute. You're a blind quadriplegic. How are you going to end your life? I would love to know, because I'm pretty powerful and I'm confident in my power. But if you want to let me know how you would have done it, I'm all ears. So you're pretty much, if I can't wipe my butt, I don't think I'm going to find something to take myself out. Okay. So I was pretty much literally stuck in the situation. So it was either do it or I guess you're doing it. There was really no other choice.
That's hilarious. And to be able to laugh at this, because that's power. Not everyone would be able to do that. But the healing that must have gone on for the body, mind, and soul seems like it's unified you in a very strong way. Has that opened you up to more life experiences, maybe working with other people with other healing modalities to help blend different modalities to create new ones?
Oh, I work with all different kinds of healing modalities. I don't believe that there's just one fit for everybody. I mean, that would be silly with 7 billion humans on the planet. We can't even agree sometimes on what to have for dinner, right? So, I'm like, what can I, that's, again, that sacred sponge, it was like, well, because I'm always that one. I'm masculine dominant. So I was always one of those, well, if you can do it, I can do it. And so when he was doing all these things, and I was like, well, no offense, master teacher, but if you can do it and you're telling me I can do it, then I want to learn how to do it. I want to thrive. I want to be in that space. It really just excited me to think that there's this human doing these things that I had never seen. And if I wouldn't have seen them with my own eyes, I may not still have believed them. Now, yes, probably. But back in the day, no.
How did the earth and the connection to the earth help you to heal? How did that relationship form, and how did it help your healing journey?
So many different ways. Again, being around the elders, you should see things coming. When you're younger, you think you're spunky and you're like, I got this, until you sit with the elders. And then you're like, I don't have anything. You're like, okay, and so it taught me many different ways of just being on the earth and sitting with her and really understanding really our true connection, that you can be the richest person on the planet. You can have the nicest car, the biggest house, you can have all of it. But without the sacred breath, you are dead within a few minutes. So I learned really quick on the importance of what's really important here. And some of us right now on this planet are striving for breath. We have to force it into our body. And right now, somewhere out there, many thousands are striving just for breath, that you and I sit here and just take in freely to the body. So in that space, it's like a deep empathy that I have. And because I've allowed myself to be in so many different circumstances, even with a stranger who's dying, to just crawl up in bed with them and laugh and cry and just allow them to just be in my energy and me be in their energy and not be afraid, because again, when you're sitting with the elders, they just expand you. They teach you so much and they give you so many opportunities, and their lessons come sometimes so gentle and then sometimes so powerful. The very first lesson I got was, okay, Rebecca, we're going to ask you three problems in your life. Out of all these stones, you think I would have been smart enough to see, and it's that old lesson, right? Out of all of these stones, your three problems, what's your most intense problem? I said, well, the most intense relationship and problem that I have would be this, represented by this big stone right here. He says, okay, so he picks it up and he puts it in front of me. He said, what's the other two? I said, well, probably this one and that one. He then puts them then in a bag. And he says, now, all the problems that you're not yet wanting to let go, I said, well, this person hurt me, and, this person did this, and I was still in the right or wrong, and my ego, right, being young, trying to prove again, right or wrong, justifying the pain. Okay, so you're not done yet? Okay, so you're going to carry this bag around for you the next 3 days that you're here during your teachings. So I was carrying my problems in a huge bag, and he says, don't let me see you walking anywhere without this, anywhere. So everywhere I walked that whole 3 days, I had to carry those rocks. And it was a really beautiful lesson that I got to learn with the stone beings, right? Representing all my problems I thought I had. They weren't problems at all. They were just hurdles, for me to allow myself to just heal and be okay with trusting what was unfolding in my life, to allow my character to grow. That's what happens in every experience that we have. Every experience is not light and loving. There are some experiences that are very defeating and very challenging. But in that moment, I ask myself, am I going to falter? And if I do, that's okay, but am I going to get back up? And what's my character going to do in this moment? And usually my character says, let's kick some butt. Let's overcome, right? Let's be in this space because it doesn't matter. A medicine person knows and a light being knows. The key factor is just healing the wound. Whether I say I'm sorry for something that's right or wrong doesn't matter. It's healing the energy that's on the planet for all of us. It takes nothing for me to say I'm sorry, even if the egoic mind says, you're not in the wrong. Why are you saying you're sorry? You're saying you're sorry to clean it up, to clean the planet, to clean the place so that you don't hurt and I don't hurt. So there's nothing between you and I anymore like pain. So I think that in a way of all the teachings that I have learned, from the tiny little ones to the big ones, they've been priceless. But yet to this day, have I ever had any of my students carry rocks around, okay?
You never gave that lesson back? That sounds like a fun one to give. I'm like, oh, that would be great. I want to carry some stones around.
I do it in a different way, not with big boulders.
But I think that becomes the dynamic is we have such a heaviness in life, we just carry it with us. We get so used to it until it wears us down.
Yeah.
And I always say that breath of life is powerful. And I always say that we always live our entire life in one breath. For when we come in, we breathe in, and when we go out, we breathe out. The trick is to just breathe, and you'll live.
I love that. That's beautiful.
So on this planet, we grow up with, I grow up with, just being here, not really thinking about the connections, but maybe, that little girl that's dancing with dragonflies and having a cricket on her finger and all these little special moments that connect you. It almost like they open your heart and they open your heart and they open your heart, but then no one teaches you how to keep your heart open to the earth. And I think that this is one of the things that we really wanted to bring on the podcast is, how do you keep your heart open to the earth? Like, how do you just keep it in a place of honoring or reverence, or, you know, what do you do in your daily life to make sure that that is appreciated, that Mother Earth, who gives us a place to dwell, to stand upon, air to breathe, food to eat, how do we always keep that on the forefront of our minds and not the back of our minds?
I think it's choice, right? You wake up in the morning, like we spoke earlier in the opening prayer, you get to greet the sun. It's just choice. You're the sacred weaver. Yes, we've all been woven together. Galactica Haneski, thank you to the Spider Woman. But we are all our own weavers. So what is it that you want to weave? You know, a lot of us make excuses, and the discipline, I think, at the heart, right, is, again, just what do I want to do today? And know that whatever it is that you choose to do, if it's out of love, then it's out of love. You know, Spirit's not going to say to me, hey, Cutehands, if you have a few moments, you better get down to one of your medicine wheels down there and do some prayer work for humanity. I'm in prayer work all the time for humanity. So maybe I just want to sit and eat some chocolate and not do anything for 20 minutes. And Spirit says, oh, that's beautiful. You're giving yourself a moment to just be, to do nothing and eat some chocolate. Well, one of our best creations. Enjoy, Cutehands. Good job. So I think sometimes we get caught up in the mind of all these things that we're supposed to be doing. And the elders teach us that expectation will kill you. It'll allow you to die slowly every day. You expect from yourself, you expect from your husbands, your wives, your neighbors, your children, society, the world. Why? Why are we expecting so much in such a certain way that we're demanding it? That's not unconditional love. Unconditional love comes without restrictions and within no conditions. It just is present. And so if you're in your darkest hour, it doesn't mean I'm not going to love you. I'm going to probably love you even more.
My first lesson from my spiritual teacher was expect the unexpected. So I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. I got this. I'm going to be enlightened. How long is it going to take? A year and a half? Come on, let's do this, right? He laughed at me. He's like, just expect the unexpected. That's your lesson today. Walk away.
I think the heartbeat of life, right? The heartbeat goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. The moment that we stay here, we're not here, right? So I think of life in that way. The heartbeat goes up and down, up and down, up and down. One day you can have just an amazing day. God, that was such an amazing day. I wish I could have another one of those tomorrow. Life is never going to bring you the same day twice. It's impossible, even if you try really hard, because life tells you that. It's an adventure here, life, right? It's that heartbeat. But if we have that space where we just appreciate the first blessing of the day, come on, right, is waking up, seeing that the sun's shining, you're like, oh, a sun shining. All right. Good. All right. I got the first blessing done. Now it's all me, you know? And so from here, I think once you get to that space, then it's all up to you of what you want to do. But just have fun.
So it brings up an interesting question for me, because your last name is Cutehands. Is that your last name?
No, it is not.
Because I thought how amazingly appropriate that would be from going,
well, this, you know, yes.
Oh,
well,
that's
you know,
brilliant.
when I was still in my wheelchair, I had gone to do a powwow at the Edgewater Park in Cleveland, Ohio. And I was there, and two of my friends were there. I started my nonprofit, and I was there, and we were selling some stuff, and the powwow was going on, and there was this little Russian girl that came over to my table, and she says, now mind you, I knew that a name was coming to me. I could feel it, you know, but, you know, again, my ego. Rebecca Running Bear. And I'm like, you're in a wheelchair. Like, really? That's just not going to work. That's not, no. But my insides was like, yeah, it's going to be something so cool, you know, and powerful. This little 6-year-old comes over to my tent and she says, hello, I want to buy something. What about this necklace on your table here? And I said, oh yeah, you know what, let me gift you that today because you're just so cute. How old are you? And she says, I am 6 years old and my name is Anna. And my grandmother tries to feed me like I am a baby, but I am no baby. And I said, well, I can see that, Anna. That's clear. Awesome. Nice to meet you. And she says, can you put this necklace upon me? And I said, no. You know those darn clasps of those necklaces. I said, oh, honey, I can't do that for you today because my hands are not well. You know, my hands were still not well. My hands were still disformed a little, right? A lot, actually. And she says, well, what's wrong with your hands? And I said, they're sick still. You know, my hands are not well yet. And she says, but who makes all this beautiful artwork? And I said, well, I do. And she says, let me see your hands. And so I gave her my hands and she says, "What is your name?" And I said, "Rebecca." And she says, "Rebecca, I don't think there's anything wrong with your hands. I think you have cute hands. And I would call you Rebecca Cutehands." And that was it.
Wow.
And I gave her a big hug, and her dad came over and took pictures of us that I still have to this day. And she said, "Bye, I'm going to go sit with the elders." And I said, "Bye, elder. Bye, grandmother."
Yeah.
Right.
And I carried that name I'll carry it forever. From that time, I looked at my friends and I said, that is it. Because at the moment, my hands were not cute. My ego would have never said, "Oh, hey, what about Rebecca Cutehands? That would be a great name." That would not have flown. But in that moment, I knew that was my name to carry. And so it humbled me in that moment to carry it.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions for Rebecca while we have her here? Was the question, are you going to do a retreat?
I do stuff all the time. You can find me online. You can go to our websites. If you have any questions after here, please let me know. I have 5.5 acres of just really, really beautiful land. And yeah, we do stuff all the time.
We'll also include that links in the show notes as well for the podcast. It'll come out sometime in December. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this evening. It was such an honor and a blessing just to gather. We are so happy we've all come here and just to heal the planet and just to feel that healing within each and every one of us. So we're going to take another short break. And then we're going to get some gallery readings on if we can get Jamie warmed up.
Thank you, friends. Thank you,
right.
everybody.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Now, if you guys want to stay in touch and find out when the next event's going to be, please make sure to visit our website and subscribe to our newsletter. Then you can receive all the notifications of when the live events happen, when they're released. And you'll be informed right away when we have new live podcast recording events. This event was so amazing. It was so beautiful. The sound bath was just lovely. And the opening ceremony is amazing. Now you can hear the unedited podcast, the opening ceremony, all of it on our Supercast page. The link is in the show notes so you can check it out, become a member. And that will also connect you to our Psychic Evolution Mystery School, where you can start learning in a class format versus a podcast format to start improving your skills, whether it's in the tarot or whether it's in psychic development or mediumship development. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we want to have a special thanks to all the people that attended An Evening Under the Stars for healing the planet and Sound Bath for the Soul. Thank you guys so much. It was an amazing event, and we love the turnout. We love meeting so many people we haven't been able to meet yet in person. It was wonderful. So truly a blessing that you made it to this event, and we couldn't have done it without you guys. And we couldn't have done it without you listeners. So thank you wherever you are listening in the world.